So now let us discuss the question number 9th. This is actually a very beautiful question, and trust me, it will clear lot of your concepts. So I recommend that watch to totally understand the explanation of this video, because there are a lot of nuances in this video, in this particular solution. So we'll break this. Break the whole architecture so that things go deep in your mind before I start coding. Okay, so the question says that in a stock market analysis, you are given an unsorted list of daily stock. Okay, you have an unsorted list 1, 2, 3, 7, 5, and what you need to do, write a Python function to find the longest sub array where the sum of stock prices is equal to a given. So you have to find the longest sub array where the sum of the stock prices equals to a given target value. Now, can you relate to this question? So the point is, can you relate to this question? It is because we have done similar kind of question earlier, but the problem here is that we have to find the longest sub array. That is the key catch here. And so to do that, let's try to understand first of all 1, 2, 3, 7, 5. So let's create our sub array, which is here our main array 1, 2, 3, 7, 5. So what are they asking us? They want us, we have a target value. We have a target value which is equal to 12. Okay. So far we have done questions where we wanted to check if there are couple of integers or three values whose sum comes out to be this. Now this is an additional question. This is an additional question to that. First, what we need to do, check sum, right? And then we need to find the longest sub array. So longest sub array with which satisfy this sum condition. So let's see what it means. Now, a sub array means anything which is any subpart of which is continuous. So for example, for this particular question, 1, 2, 3 is a sub array of this particular set, let's say. But because 1, 2, 3 is continuous, but you cannot say that 1, 2, 7. 1, 2, 7 is not a sub array. Okay, so whatever you have to choose, it has to be a continuous. It has to be continuous. So this is the main concept here. So now we want to check for which sum is equal to 12. For example, let's try out which all possible things. If I see, I see 7 plus 5 equal to 12. Okay, so there is one sub array 7, 5 which comes out to be equal to 12. Now let's try out. We see 2, 3, 7. I see 2, 3, 7. Their sum is also equal to 12. So I see 2, 3, 7 also a subarray. Can 1, 2, 3 be? So 1 plus 2, 3, 3 plus 6? No. So only these are the possible two subarrays, and the maximum subarray with this particular length is this. Okay. So we want to return this. This is particularly our question. So I hope you understand what is the meaning of a subarray. Anything which is continuous. So how do we actually solve this particular question? First of all, I'll go without coding. I'll try to explain you things without coding because it is very important. There are multiple sub concepts here which we need to cover. So L is equal to 1, 2, 3, 7, 5. Now let's try to visualize. Let's try to build the architecture for this problem. We want first of all, we want subarrays, okay, and then we want their sum, and then we want the longest one which satisfy this condition. Okay, so I'll build this architecture into 3 steps. So how I'll do, first of all, my first step will be to build a logic to generate all the possible subarrays in this particular case. Generate all subarrays. Okay, first I'll be doing this. Second, after I've generated all the subarrays, I will check. Let's say I've generated 23 subarrays. Okay, now out of this 23, how many satisfy the condition that sum is equal to 12? Okay, the sum is equal to 12. So let's say out of these 23, only 5 satisfy the condition. And third is, out of these 5, which of one is the maximum length? So there are 3 questions actually inside this particular question. So far we have been doing this part only, where we check whether particular sum exists or not. But here we have two additional questions as well that we will be doing. Okay, so let's start solving the first part, and then we'll gradually build the logic. So generating all the sub arrays. So let us say this is my 1, 2, 3, 7, 5. Okay. Now, so what do we want? We want sub arrays. So for example, if I want to slice this list to get a to arrays, right? If I want sub list, for example, inside this, let's say I want 1, 2. Let's say I want 1, 2. So what do I do generally? I will do L of 0 to 2, right? L of 0 to 2. For example, if you remember the list concept, let me open a new file here. So let's say this is L is equal to 1, 2, 3, 7, 5. Okay. Now if I do L 0 to 2, it will generate me a sub array. Basically it will generate me a sub array. Okay. So similarly, if I do, let's say 1, 2, 4, what will it do? 2, 3, so 0, 1, 2, 3, it will generate 2, 3, 7, right? And so there are multiple. So depending upon what I provide in the slicing, I get all the subarrays. So this is the first concept that we need to see, that we will have a list, right? And we will do its slicing. We will do its slicing. So let me choose so we will have a list and we will do its slicing. In slicing, what all do we have? We have a start point and we have an end point. Okay, and end point. End point is generally end index plus 1, right? Because you know the last index is not taken, so you can say end index plus 1. We can also say it like this. So a list can be written as start point and end point plus 1, and or you can say end index, not point, end index plus 1, right? This is what we can assume. So to first generate all the sub arrays, we need to play with this. We need to create a for loop where we will iterate through producing the start. Okay, and then we will also iterate towards producing the end part. So we have two values. One is start and one is two initial points. I will take start and end index. Okay, and we have to play with this. We have to play with this, and because with the length of this, we have the length of subarray. Length of the whole array is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So length of L is equal to 5. So start point can vary from where to where. Start point can vary from, if you see, it can take place 0, it can take 1, it can place 2, 3 and 4. Start can take these many values, correct? And end index, how many values can it take? It can take again 0, it can take 1, it can take 2, it can take 3, it can 4, right? So for example, let's say when we have list 0 to 0, it will just generate 1. When we have 0 to 1, it will generate 1, 2. When we have 0 to, so let's say, for example, when we, now point is this. Okay, so now the end index, the starting point of end index, always remember, although it can vary, but for example, remember in any scenario, start will vary. Let's say start will vary from, we can say that it will vary from 0 to n minus 1. Okay, the end index will vary from, you need to remember, it will vary from start index to n minus 2, you can say n minus 1, or you can say n, so that, I mean, it actually takes up that value. So this is what you need to be ensure, because end index can never be, it cannot be that your start index is 1, your end index is 0. It is not possible, right? Because you are moving from left to right only to generate the arrays. So this is the first point we will be doing, and what we'll do, we'll create a sub array. a sub array which is equal to blank, and we will iterate through it by printing. So for example, let's start building this code. So let's say this is my prices. So this is my prices. Okay, let me just zoom in a little bit so that you guys can see. So let's say this is my prices, which is equal to 1, 2, 3, 7, 5. Okay, and then I have my target. My target value is 12. Okay, so what I will do, I'll start building this particular code. First of all, I have to generate all the sub arrays in my first step is there. So what I will do, I will take sub array equal to, let's say I've given a list, blank list. Okay, now what I will do for, so I have a start point, I have an end point. So I will do for start in range. Now my start will vary from where to where. It will vary from, it will have 0 to length of basically prices, we can say. Okay, now my start index is varying from this to, and my end index will varying from for end in range. So end is varying from start, because end will depend upon start. You cannot say that end will start from 0, because what will happen if you just say that end is starting from 0, then you will also take the cases where start is equal to 2 and end is equal to 0. So those cases we have to eliminate. So we are only picking those cases where start end starts with start, right? So that is what the main point here. So for end in range, start to start, and then we will do, it will go till length of prices. Okay, so this is the first step that we have done. Okay, so this particular part we have divided, and now what I'm doing for each, let's say I'm defining a subarray here inside as well. Okay, so what I'm creating, for each loop I'm creating a subarray. So every time I'll be creating a subarray, and I will try to append this particular subarray into my main subarrays. So that's what I will be doing. So now what will be my slicing part? So we have given my start point, I've given my end point. So what will happen, I will say for k, let's say in range. Now this range starts from start point, right? Because this is our start. Any slicing we do like this only. Start, and it will be end plus 1, because I have to go till the end point. So this is what I have generated. Now, so what I will do, this particular sub array, I will append this dot append, and what I will do, prices prices slice, I will do a k. Okay, and after this what I'm going to do, so let's say sub array, I have done this. So what I've done in this particular step for C, if you see, we have defined a start, we have defined our end, we know this. Now we have to create the k. Basically we have to do a slicing, which will be passing into prices. Now we need to define that pricing. So how are we doing that? We're defining it in the form of k. Now k is varying from the range of it is varying from start to end plus 1. Okay, so k will basically vary, and what I'm doing some slices in pricing. In prices, I am doing this slicing, and I am appending it. And after this appending, what I do, I'll finally do sub arrays dot append subarray. So there will be different subarray which I'll be appending here, subarray. And now if I just try to print subarrays, I will see the list of all the subarrays which are possible inside the list. So if I do something like this, I'm able to generate all the subarrays. So just let me explain you this particular concept once again, right? In my notebook, what I just did there. Okay, so I know you might get confused initially that okay, why you have created multiple subarray and what are doing append. You're doing first append, what is the second append? So let me tell you what I'm doing. I have to create a universal list. Okay, I have to create a universal list of sets. set 1, sorry, list 1, list 2, subarray 2, subarray 3, and so on. Okay. So what I'll be so this particular step is called subarrays. This is subarrays, the one with S. Okay. So what I'm doing here, that I'm looping, I'm loop now to generate these particular subarray. These are individual subarray. These are without S. Remember, these are without S. Okay. So what I'm doing, first of all, I have to generate this small element. Okay. And every time I complete a loop, I basically append it there. So how do I append? For every subarray that is there, it has a different start point, it has a different end point, correct? It has a different endpoint, and that is what I'm doing in this particular code. That okay, I know that my start point will vary from here, I know my endpoint will vary from this here and here. Right now, what I'll create an individual subarray. This subarray is a, you can say, a blueprint of any of this. For example, now I'll start adding elements to it. So for k in range, range this, now I know my range is varying from start point to end plus 1. Okay, so technically, let's say this is 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, now when I have to print my first array, what will be the index of it? It will be, the start point will be equal to 0 and end point will be equal to 0. So what will be it? The first value will be added, that is 1. So first array that will become is 1. Okay, in the second case, start value will be 0, end point will become 1. So so first of all, it will add s equal to 0, and then it will add end equal to, so for second point it will be s equal to 0 to end equal to 0 and 1. So first it will add for 0, then it will add for 1, that is 2. Similarly, it will add for 1, 2, and 3, and similarly it will add for 1 2 3 4. Right, this way this sub array that I'm creating here is created. Okay, and once each sub array is created, I am basically not, I'm just copying it from here to here, then I'm copying it from here to here, then I'm copying this from here to here, I'm copying it from here to here. Okay, so that is the concept of how I have created individual. First I have created individual subarray, and then I started appending it in the main subarrays file. So this is the first concept that we did. Now comes so we have completed our first part where we had to generate all the subarrays. So that we have done. Okay, the generating subarray part is done. Now the second part comes. I have to so second part now comes. I have to do a filter, basically based on condition. Okay, that sum is equal to 12, that sum is equal to 12, and then out of those I have to find the maximum length, the one with the maximum length. Okay, so how I'm going to going to do this. Let's try to understand the architecture of this. Okay, so first of all, what I will do, I'll do a max subarray with the maximum length. Let's say by default I assume it to be a blank subarray. Okay, I don't know which one it is going to be. I assumed it to be blank. And so what is the max length of this? Max length is equal to 0. Okay, this much I know from initially. Now first of all, to get sum equal to 12, what I need to do, the first step is calculate the sum of all. Calculate the sum of all the subarrays. Okay, and once you have calculated the sum, put an if condition. If your sum is equal to target, okay, then you basically you choose them, you select those particular subarrays. You have selected those subarrays where sum is equal to target, and after this, what you're doing, you are getting the length for this. So you will go iterate from first sub array. Okay, if that satisfies the condition, you will store its length as maximum length. Okay, then you'll move to other sub array. If it satisfies the condition, you will check its length. If its length is more than current max, that is current max, okay, then you will update the current max to be equal to length of this. and that's how you will iterate through all. So you'll understand once I code a little bit more here. So let's go from here. So first of all, we have to generate, let's say we do a longest subarray, which we right now we don't have. We need to pick that. Okay. Let's say initially the maximum length of the longest subarray is 12. So remember, when we do sum as well, we initially declare that, okay, let's assume the sum is 0, and then we'll gradually build on that particular length. Okay, so for what I have to do now, first of all, I have to get those particular subarrays where sum is equal to target. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll loop in this subarray that through this all subarrays, I'll do a for loop. So like this is the first subarray, this is the second subarray, this is the third subarray, and so on. So I will do for subarray in subarrays. Okay, what I'm doing, let's say, so now what I'm doing, I'm looping through. First I'm doing through this, second I'm going through this, third I'm going through this, and so on. So initially, let's assume that before that the current sum is equal to 0 of this particular subarray. Okay, now what I have to do, that I have to iterate inside the subarray as well. So for example, I went through each subarray, and now what I will do, I'll create a loop that every time I check an element, I just add it to current sum. So what I'm doing for I'll do further for num in subarray. Okay, what I will be doing, I'll update the current sum. I'll update the current sum, that is current underscore sum is equal to current sum plus num. Okay, that's how you will update. Okay, now that's how you're going to update this. So for every subarray, I will have a sum stored now. 1, 3, 6, then 6 plus 7, 13, and so on. Okay, now I have that sum stored. So for each subarray, this current sum shows me the sum of the elements inside that subarray. And now what I need to do, I need to put an if condition, that if, now because I am inside this subarray, so I cannot start my loop from here. I have to start it from here only. So for the indentation, so I'll do an if current underscore sum, okay, is equal to target. So what I'm doing, if this sum is equal to target, so I'll filter out those subarrays where sum is equal to target. And what I will do, that if length of this particular subarray, okay, subarray is greater than what we defined here, the max length, because initially it was 0. So whatever, so let's say I encounter this one, any one with sum, this sum is 12, right? So when I encounter this one, it will check its length, it is greater than 0. So what it will do, if length of subarray is greater than and max underscore length, what it will do, so it will do that max underscore length, it will update the max length to be equal to length of subarray. Okay, it will be like this, and what we will do, and my longest subarray will become this particular one. My longest subarray will become subarray. It will become this particular subarray. Okay, so now I think I'm done with the question. So what we will do, print let's say if the longest subarray is let's name it longest subarray. Okay, and subarray, and its length is max underscore length. Okay, and I close this and I close this. Okay, so this is the particular code. I know this is little bit lengthy, that's why I took time to explain you I'll just run this code right now to check. So the longest subarray is 237 and its length is 3. That's what we have generated. Okay, so this is the code. I'll just give a summary of code. That first of all, let me give you a summary of here in the board. The summary says like that. Step 1 is you generate all the subarrays. Generate all the subarrays. Okay, so how do we generate the subarrays? What we do, we create a start point and we create an end point. After that, we iterate through start to end. Okay, and we slice inside each slide. So we create a subarray and we slice inside from this particular thing, and we constantly start storing in subarrays. This is how we generate all the possible subarrays. After that, we have, so once we have generated all the subarrays, what I need to do, I need to check the first I need to find the sum of all. So, and then if sum is equal to target, I select those particular subarray and find the length of it. So that is the objective, that is the architecture of this question. So what I do, first of all, I define a longest subarray and this. So now after I have selected all, for example, let's say out of 23, I selected 10 subarrays which satisfy this condition. Okay, let's say there are 10 subarrays which satisfy this condition that their sum is equal to 12. Okay, now what I need to do, I have a max length equal to 0 and I have a longest subarray equal to blank. So what I will do, I'll go to the first array out of, I will check if is its length greater than this. If yes, so I will update this length. So so let's say my max length is presently equal to 0. Okay, and this is my lengthiest subarray equal to blank. Now when I come to this, let's say this is subarray 1. So what will be my longest, the length of this? The ml will, instead of 0, it will become the length of this. For example, let's say length is 2, and the longest subarray ls will become equal to s1. Okay, now I will go to this, I will check its length. If its length is greater than this, then I will update this maximum length. Otherwise I will move forward. Otherwise, if I find anything whose length is greater than this, then I will update the maximum length to that particular length, and I will update the longest subarray to that particular subarray. And that's how I will print the result. So this was a very beautiful question, to be honest, right? It will clear a lot of your concepts, that how to generate things, how to take the maximum. You'll find a lot of sub questions of this particular question in future assignments that I give. So please walk through this whole question. There are 3 concepts ingrained in this and you need to master them. Okay, so that's all about the question number 9.